Guillaume Depardieu was born in April 1971 in the family of actors Gérard Depardieu and Elisabeth Guignot. Elizabeth was the heiress of a rich aristocratic family. From childhood, the boy was called Steadfast Tin Soldier for the fact that he got used to pain too early. His mother is said to have taken an experimental drug during pregnancy that caused the infant's bones to become brittle. From childhood, Guillaume was accustomed to physical pain and was often sick, experiencing nagging pain and brokenness throughout his body. A doctor watching him said to the boy, "Blow on you and you'll blow away like a dandelion." As a child, he had a lot of casts and fractures. At the age of 3, he made his debut in the movie with the symbolic title, Not So Bad. The family lived in a huge family estate in the suburbs of Paris, Bougivala. The garden, the white roses, the old park all around. The sound of waltzes played by his mother. Guillaume was left to himself. He had a little sister, Julie, 2 years younger, but she had her own games. He climbed trees, stayed in the attic, raced his bike, broke arms and legs, broke them again, and spent time in hospitals. Guillaume was too young to understand his mother and father's relationship. But he sensed the lies. His father has his own life, into which he lets no one else in. He was 14 years old when he pulled some bills out of his father's jacket pocket, waited for darkness to fall, and cautiously crept out of his room through the window. Reaching the train station, he bought a ticket to Paris. In Paris, Guillaume was confused, but some guys were merrily humming songs and he stopped to listen. Then they bought him a drink. It was very fun and free with the new company. He stayed in Paris, stealing food from street stalls, sleeping around. The amazing thing is, his parents never tried to get him back. He did call his mother and tell her he was staying in Paris. She said, "You're an adult, you decide for yourself." He saw his father only 3 months after his escape, when he ended up in a police station. Together with the boys from Saint-Denis, with whom Guillaume shared a shelter, they tried to steal a motorcycle. Enraged, Depardieu Sr. burst into the commissariat as in the movie. Everyone fell silent and began to justify themselves to the movie star. Everyone except Guillaume. When the father was brought into the cell, he gave his son such a slap that he split his lip and fell to the floor. "You disgrace my name," he said. He would say that every time the police called him to the station, except they won't let him beat the boy. When Depardieu once again swings, his hand will be intercepted by a guard. Keep your hands to yourself. He is still a teenager. Several times Guillaume was sentenced to prison terms for theft and drugs. He managed to enroll in drama courses while also acting in movies. Praise from critics, he did not pay much attention, firmly believing that behind all this is the glory of his father. When 20-year-old Guillaume starred in the role of composer Marin Marais in the movie All the Mornings of the World, he was called Young Genius. His acting career progressed relatively normally. Guillaume was often called to projects involving his father, but in essence in his life nothing changed. Alcohol, casual liaisons, drugs. Directors who invited him to shoot received instructions from producers about the state of Guillaume's health. Since he was a man addicted, he could and disrupt the shooting. But all recognized that nature did not rest on the son of Gérard. In August 1995, 24-year-old Guillaume carried on his motorcycle on a high-speed highway towards the suburbs, dived into the tunnel of Saint-Cloud, as suddenly from the roof of the car ahead fell suitcase right under the wheels of his motorcycle. He was dragged off the highway by witnesses to the crash and lost consciousness. Surgeons managed to put his leg back together piece by piece. He spent 10 months in the hospital. The recovery process dragged on. He was administered more and more drugs to beat the infection. He endured pain again and learned to walk on crutches. In December 1999, friends called him to a youth play at the Théâtre Gaîté de la Montparnasse. He sat in the aisle on the edge to stretch out his bad leg and put his crutch. When a fragile, big-eyed, delicate girl appeared on stage, he became interested in what was happening on stage. The actress's name was Elise. After the performance, he was introduced to Eliza Vantré, a graduate of the School of Dramatic Art. The girl was so nice that he asked her out on a date, Soon they played a quiet wedding, and a year later they had a daughter, Louise. Everything seemed to get better, but 29-year-old Guillaume was not ready for such happiness. Elise met a man whose life was riddled with problems. He depended on a list of medications taken by the hour, surgeries, adjustments, rehabilitations. Exhausted, jittery, embittered, nagging Guillaume was not fit to be the father of the family. In the end, they broke up. To personal misfortunes added physical. The pain in his leg became unbearable. In the 8 years after the accident, he underwent almost 24 operations, which did not bring relief. On May 6, 2003, he woke up in the ward after another operation as if in a foreign body. His leg below the knee was not there. Yes, he had to decide on these extreme measures. After the operation, Guillaume avoided mirrors for a long time. He never cried, and the regret that gripped him was always objective. As the wound healed, Guillaume ordered a high-tech prosthesis that allowed him to move freely. But the pains did not go away completely. Now there were phantom pains. He returned to his old habits. Embarrassed by his appearance, he went out only in the dark, scaring away passers-by who did not recognize him as a celebrity. Relationships between father and son Depardieu were difficult, and in 2003 they finally broke up. In 2004, Guillaume Depardieu published a book, All to Give, in which he tried to explain his relationship with his father. "I love and hate him for the same reasons," wrote Depardieu Jr. Guillaume still invited to shoot. But the directors disliked him. He could be on the set to let himself go to all sorts of things. On the set of the movie, The Childhood of Icarus in Romania, Guillaume felt bad. There were chills, fever, coughs. He was diagnosed with pneumonia. Guillaume urgently airplane sent to France but could not save. He was 37 years old. At the funeral, his father quoted Saint-Exupéry and called his son the Little Prince. His mother was silent, his sister was crying. Ex-wife Elise noted that Guillaume was unloved, and that's why he grew up like this. Guillaume mirrored all his father's vices and sins, which he would like to forget. It was as if his son was showing him how his own fate might have turned out if his father had not stopped in time. They needed each other, but both were so engrossed in mutual reproaches and accusations that they realized too late.